What's up, guys? My name is Brandon, and welcome back to Audio Addiction, where you can find the latest album reviews, you can find our band interviews, and you can find the live video of the concerts that we get. We just posted 2 show thoughts, one of Polyphia's tour, as well as the Dance Gavin Dance headliner with Chon as a feature. Both put those up, as well as we got most of Covet's set, so if you like that band, definitely check this one out as well. It has a few surprises, so really stoked on that. Also, if you enjoy what we do, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Also, make sure to hit that like button as well. We're very close to 300 subscribers, so if you could hit that subscribe button, it would be much appreciated. And thank you so much for your support, guys. It literally blows my mind every single day I check this channel. It literally just, it's crazy. So thank you so much for your support. It means a lot. Also, if I sound a little bit stuffy, it's probably because I have a cold and I'm getting over a cold. So if you hear that just in my voice and my nose, I definitely still have a cold. But without further ado, tonight we're going to be talking about Earthists' new record, Dreamscape. So, I've heard about this band for a little bit of time. I know they just signed to Tragic Hero Records. They're from Japan. They kind of remind me of a Japanese version of Erra. For those of you who didn't know Erra, they are kind of like this progressive metalcore, genty sort of band. They actually used to be signed to Tragic Heroes, which is kind of ironic a little bit in that regard. But definitely reminiscent of like old Erra, like Augment, Impulse. Definitely reminds me a lot of that sort of stuff, so you can tell that that's a huge influence on this band without a doubt, just starting out. And I really enjoyed the singles, so I was really stoked to get this early. Thank you to Kathleen from Tragic Hero Records. You are the best. Continue sending stuff my way. I really do appreciate it. I love checking Tragic Hero band stuff out. It's really awesome. So we'll move into the first track, which is called Dreamscape, obviously the title track of the record. I'm really loving the overall like layering and production of this track and just this whole album in general. It feels very much like an Erra record. If I had to assimilate it to something, it definitely has those sort of ethereal moments where, you know, there's a lot of synth, there's a lot of piano, there's a lot of stringed instruments. It really does add this sort of awesome ambience to the whole record. Like I mentioned earlier, very reminiscent of older Erra. You can definitely tell that is a huge influence on this band without a doubt. I really like the cleans in this band. I think they definitely have this sort of diversity to them. They have some low singing parts. They also have some high singing parts, which I do enjoy that mix of, you know, the different balances between that. I also feel like the screams have nice diversity on this track. However, I feel like overall, I'll speak about the screaming a little bit later, but I really enjoyed it in this track pretty much. I also enjoyed the guitar riffing as well as the lead work. Like I've mentioned in many other reviews, guitars are something that I pick up immediately. Just being a guitar player myself, those are the things that I like to pick up. Like I like to hear how different, you know, how they go about creating different riffs and stuff like that. So I really enjoyed that, and I also feel like this one has a nice flow, and I also feel like it's an awesome way to kind of start off the record. It throws you into something very I don't know, it's very familiar almost. If this album felt very familiar, not in like, oh, this is a cheating sort of way, it just felt very familiar. It felt very together, so I really enjoyed that. So we'll move it on to track number 2, which is Footprints. I really like the solo guitar intro, and then just the rest of the instrumentation kicks in after that. I always love when bands do that, where, you know, like some instrument takes the lead, whether it be like drums or like a bass intro or like a guitar intro or just vocals. I feel like just vocals are very uncommon, but I've heard some bands do it before and they've done it well. But I really enjoyed that sort of, you know, guitar, just solo guitar intro. It really helps pick out sort of this overall just instrumentation of just the guitar itself. I really think the drumming is excellent on this track. I think it's some of the coolest work that I've heard in some time. Really enjoy the technicality and just the overall like aesthetics of how the drums sound and stuff like that. So I really enjoyed that. I feel like this track also has this sort of genty sort of bounce to it that makes me love gent and just kind of fall in love with that genre. I like just how how it moves and how it bounces for me. Getting to the scream parts, I feel like on this track in particular, the screams are hit or miss for me. I don't, and there's a few tracks off this record that definitely are hit or miss for me just because of the screams. I wouldn't say it's all the time, but there's some points where you're like, maybe if he did this or maybe if he did that, it would have sounded much better. I feel like he's trying to do some like, I don't know, like gutturals at some point, and it just doesn't come off right, at least in my opinion. Um, so I just feel like, in comparison to the clean vocals, which I'll kind of transition into now, I think the clean vocals are really awesome. I enjoy them. I know some people have given them some flack on that as well, but I feel like the cleans are, in my opinion, are better than the screams in this track. Really loving the chorus in this. I feel like it's very catchy, very, again, very, I guess, familiar. Again, that's another word I'm going to be using for that. And I like the lead guitar work throughout this entire track. I feel like it adds another level of ambience to the aesthetic of the track. And then I really love the guitar solos. I love when bands kind of add that sort of flavor, that sort of essence of them into a track like this. I feel like it really comes off very well. So we'll move on to track number 3, which is Absolutely Zero. Again, this track is very reminiscent of Erra to me, especially anything off of Augment or I forget the other one. Damn it, I have a bad memory and I'm kind of sick too. But definitely reminiscent of old Erra without a doubt. I feel like this one has some nice flow in the verses, along with groove. I feel like when a track has flow, I think that's awesome. But I think when a track has flow and grooves, that's when it really hits home for me. So I really enjoyed that. I think they really nailed it out of the park with another awesome chorus. And I like the addition of piano. I know that Erra does do a little bit of that, but I feel like it's not stressed as much in this band. So I really enjoy the piano like aesthetics throughout. I feel like it adds like this overall, again, layering effect slash like ambience to it. I really think it's a nice touch, and I feel like it adds a lot when you're listening to the bridge parts. I feel like it just adds this sort of overall aesthetics to it. So I really enjoyed that one, and I think like how it kind of carries out in the bridge. I think that's really awesome as well. I think that kind of, again, I like that they're integrating that piano, I guess, feelings into a lot of their tracks, which is really awesome. So I really enjoyed that. So we'll move on to track number 4, which is Resonating Light, and it features, I'm gonna butcher it probably, Ichiga. Definitely one of my favorite tracks off the record. I think this is kind of the good part of the record, at least in my opinion. Not saying the other tracks weren't good, but I feel like they're firing on all cylinders on this track. It really has this awesome groove and bounce to it. I love the use of piano again. I think it's something that, to me, would definitely separate them from Erra for me. While their instrumentation kind of sounds familiar to Erra, I would say that Erra doesn't add a lot of piano to their, add too much piano. Like they blatantly put a lot of piano in this, which I really enjoy. But I feel like that's the aesthetics that I got from this band, was that they love the piano, so they want to add that in there, and I think it's a great thing. I also feel like the instrumentally is very awesome. It's on point, as I would say. I think it's really great. Guitar work is awesome. The drumming is really sick. And it really has an awesome sort of soaring chorus that I really enjoyed, and I was kind of sorely missing out on this, just this album in general so far. I would definitely say structurally, this is my favorite track. It just has this sort of, again, groove. It has this sort of bounce to it. Now, the other tracks that I was previously talking about just didn't have, and this one just jived really well. The screams, the cleans, just instrumentation. I feel like it's very awesome. I like the really sort of soft bridge. I think that shows a lot of, song diversity And then I also love the awesome solo that they added as well. I think that's awesome. And then just the outro with the sort of clean guitar ending. I think they really kind of nailed it out of the park with this one, and that's why I liked Resonating Light. I also don't know where Ichigo is. I don't know if he was like, I don't know if he was like a guitar solo or something like that, but whatever part it was, I would definitely say it fit very well to the overall aesthetic of this track. So we'll move it on to track number 5, which is Flux. This features Sam Jacobs of the After Image, another band on Tragic Hero, I believe. But I really love this sort of piano intro. I feel like this is something that's going to be very much attached to this band. Really enjoy it though. I wouldn't say I didn't think I was going to enjoy it that much as after listening to it maybe a few times through, but I really do enjoy that sort of piano aesthetic that they have. I think it's really awesome, and I love just this piano and drum combo intro. I think it's definitely a nice switch up from the atypical like either guitar and vocals, or the guitar and drums, or bass and drums, or something like that. I think it's a great sort of again switch up. I think this is another really strong track. I think the verses slash the pre-chorus were awesome. Really great stuff. I think it was a great follow-up to Resonating Light, which I really enjoyed as well, as I just mentioned. I thought the breakdown was really awesome. And then I like the sort of very jazzy break in the bridge. And then the piano kind of takes the lead on that part of the track, which I really enjoy as well. Like I said, I think it's something crucial to their sound. And I think that Sam did a really awesome job with his guitar solo. I think it was definitely a nice addition to this track. And then just added this sort of overall flair to an already good track. So I would definitely consider this to be one of my favorites without a doubt for those reasons. So we'll move it on to track number 6, which is Magna. I would consider this kind of like an interlude. And if you've been watching these album reviews, you know how I feel about interludes. I think they kind of add this overall aesthetic to the album. It kind of gives you this, I feel like in this interlude in particular, it has this sort of cool ethereal feel to them. It's very ambient, it's very full. It's very, I know they've been coined naturecore, but it definitely has this sort of nature-esque vibe to it, which I really enjoy. That's what I really enjoy about Erra, so it's something that I think they've expounded upon and really done an awesome job with. So we'll move it on to track number 7, which is Cybele. I'm pretty sure I pronunciated that right. If not, then I'm sorry. But I really enjoy the sort of ethereal, clean lead parts in the beginning. I think that's really awesome. I love when bands kind of add that sort of clean guitar element to any track. I feel like it plays very well with heavier guitar parts. There's countless of bands that kind of do that and mesh them very well together, and I would definitely add Earthists to that list of bands. Really enjoying the rhythm guitar work. I think it's really great stuff in comparison to a lot of other bands that I enjoy. I think that they really have some awesome work, guitar work in general, and just instrumentally in general. I think this is really awesome high tier stuff that they're doing. But getting back to the screams, especially in this track, I feel like the screams don't sell me too much, especially in certain parts where I don't feel like they fit very well. Like either if he did something different, maybe it would have sounded better. But there's some parts where I'm just kind of scratching my head and been like, why did he do that? So definitely for me, cleans in this band are just a little bit better than the screams at this point. But getting back to the cleans, I think they were awesome in the chorus and just throughout the track. Really awesome stuff. And then I just think, I think more or less I'm really enjoying the instrumentals of the whole album. I think they just really knocked it out of the park. It just has this sort of like, again, ethereal. I know I keep using ethereal, but it definitely has this sort of like full feeling to it, and I really enjoy that. It just has this sort of ambience to it that I have come to know and love with Erra, so I will definitely come to know and love with Earthists without a doubt. So we'll move it on to track number 8, which is Radial. I'm really loving the intro, the sort of tappy, clean guitar intro, and the ambience. I feel like, again, they really kind of hit a home run on that. Really enjoying the guitar solo as well. It's something that I really enjoy just personally. Um, and I feel like this track doesn't have any vocals whatsoever. It's very much an instrumental track. It feels almost like a Polyphia style, Chan style track almost. Um, Instrumentation just on point. I think it definitely accents the whole band in general and what they can do and what they're capable of. Definitely one of my favorites for that reason alone. And then I think it was definitely something unexpected. I thought for sure there was going to be vocals in this track. And then if they did have vocals, I think what would suit it better, like clean screams, maybe a mix of both. But I really like that they kept it kind of very basic, very simple. I think it was something to kind of clean the sort of musical palette, as you would say. But I really enjoyed this track a lot. So we'll move into track number 9, which is Fall. Really loving the lead guitar work in this as well, especially in the intro. The breakdown was really awesome in this track as well. Again, getting back to the screams, I know I keep mentioning it, but in certain parts of this track, the screams just don't get me. I don't know. It's just maybe I'm just not feeling it or something like that. But it definitely doesn't have that sort of vibes that I dig when I hear screams. And also this track is primarily focusing on screams, so I feel like I'm not expecting that they should have had cleans, but I think the screams could have been done a little bit differently. If they were done differently, I feel like this track would definitely be in my favorites without a doubt. So we'll move it into track number 10, Long Way Home. Really liking the piano intro slash like the extra production in this track in general. Again, it feels very much like an Erra track in that regard. And then the rest of it, obviously the rest of the instrumentation kind of kicks in after that. Definitely has some of my favorite guitar riffs off the entire record. Without a doubt, this track has some really mondo riffs. Really enjoy that. I feel like this track definitely has this more unique sound to it as opposed to, I guess, sounding like other bands. I know I keep referencing Erra, but it definitely has that sort of air feel to it. But I feel like they kind of went out of their bubble and tried something different on this track. Again, I really enjoyed the instrumentals, but again, I don't know what about it, but just scream wise, it just doesn't hit me as hard as some other bands that kind of sound similar to this. It just doesn't jive with me too well. So I would definitely put this in my favorites, but just because of the vocals, it might just fall slightly out of that favorite range. So we'll move it into track number 11, the final track, Winterfell. Definitely one of my favorites. Again, great usage of the piano. I think that I've mentioned previously, I feel like this is a very unique element to them, just the piano parts in general. I think, again, it's great stuff from them, and just adding that overall piano element to the entire track just changes the game just a little bit for me. Instrumentally, I feel like this one has to be the crazier of the tracks off the record, without a doubt. Probably the craziest instrumental track off the record. Really loving the chorus as well. I think the song structure on this track is really solid as well. Much like Resonating Light, which I enjoyed. I think that Winterfell and Resonating Light are definitely close competitors in that regards. Sonically, it reminds me a lot of, again, Erra and another band called Novelists out of France. I feel like if they ever did a tour together, that would be awesome, because they would sound awesome together. But I would definitely say that this track, in my opinion, is one of the heaviest tracks off the record, and I think they couldn't have ended it in a better way. I think they really experimented a lot on this track, and it definitely shows the future of Earthists. While I wasn't completely sold on everything, I definitely will like to see what they do in the future, and hopefully they'll improve on some of those things without a doubt. And I think it's a great way to kind of round out the record and get you ready for Dreamscape again. I think it has some really good replay value without a doubt. So we'll move it into the pros and cons of the record. I think a big con that I've definitely mentioned a lot is just the screams. I feel like, for me, it's either you like them or you don't at all. It's no like in between. There's some parts where it's worse than others. I will definitely say that without a doubt. But overall, I'm obviously painting a broad brush over the whole thing. I think overall, scream wise, it was pretty good. It just in some parts is more rougher than others, without a doubt. But other than that, I really think everything else was pros. I really enjoyed the instrumentation. I'm really enjoying the piano-esque parts. I feel like if they add that to newer material and they continue going in that direction, I can definitely support that without a doubt. I think it's awesome stuff. And just overall, I think they really did an awesome job for just being a first record, and not knowing or hearing about them ever in my entire life before this. So I think they really did an awesome job. I think they will definitely have some fans that will follow them because they sound very much like Erra. But I think Erra has done a really awesome job at kind of solidifying that sort of genre. I know they're not the forefathers of sort of gent, but I feel like they do add some awesome elements to that. So I feel like if Earthists kind of falls in that same direction, I feel like they will be another awesome band that is in that genre as well. So my overall rating for this record, I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. I think it's definitely one you should check out, give it a listen, see if you like it at least. I definitely think it's worth to give a listen to at least once. I think it definitely has some elements that I think most viewers of this channel would enjoy without a doubt. And it definitely had things that I enjoyed. I definitely enjoyed a lot of these tracks, while I do give a little bit of hate to the vocal parts, especially the screams. I think overall it was a really solid effort on their part, and considering it was their first record, period, I think it's a little bit hard, but at the same time, I think they did a really great job with what they had for sure. So if you enjoy what we do, again, make sure to hit that subscribe button. We're almost a few away from 300. That would be amazing if you hit that subscribe button. Again, thank you to Kathleen. Also, if you enjoy what we do, make sure to hit that like button. And if you enjoy us a lot, make sure to go pick something up at our merch store. We're running a 15% off code. So if you want to support, that would certainly mean a lot. I will make sure to leave links in the description. Also, go follow Earthists on all our social medias. I'll try to get their things in the description as well with that too. So thanks again, guys, for checking out the review. My name is Brandon, and we'll be talking with you soon. Peace. Hey guys, hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching. Of course, if you enjoy what we do, make sure to go check out the other series we do. We do album reviews, we do band interviews, and we do live videos, so definitely go check that out. Hit that subscribe button. It really helps out our channel, helps us grow. Make sure to hit that like button as well. Go follow us on social media. That's all down below. We try to keep that as updated as possible. We also made a new website where we'll be posting photos of upcoming concerts and stuff like that, which you can go check out at audioaddictionmedia.com, and come get your fix with us, guys. Talk to you later. Deuces.